question over there.
So what if at the end of the day you cannot get all the reds into green after refinement, use weight, etc.? What's then the next step?
Well, I cannot see, as I said, we have worked with a substance with DNALs as low as 0.2 milligrams per cubic meter or milligrams per kilogram body weight. I don't know whether you have something in your cabinet somewhere that beats this. Possible, but I told you that even if you just use gloves during mixing and loading and do nothing but reducing the application rate to 0.4 kilograms per hectare, which is still a lot. That's still a big, it will be the major, that would probably be the major co-formulant or the major formulant in that preparation. And you still pass. And that's a substance I think could be ending up in an Annex 15 dossier. So it may have to be authorized anyway. So if you have something that is below 0.2, you'll be ending up in trouble. And also, if you have such a substance, I tried around, I think just a couple of days ago, if you have very low DNALs, and then you have all the scenarios read, and then you hit the maximum rate button, you challenge Excel to the point where it needs to iterate more to achieve the goal of RCR equals 1, and it won't make it within reasonable time. Then if you have very low DNALs, and I'm talking about 0.1 or so, you hit this substance and just nonsense numbers, minus 1 million or so shows up as an application rate. This is obviously a high challenge for this target or goal seek tool within Excel. So in this case, just enter any low number into the application rate field manually. You can do that, of course, and then see whether how you fare with that. That's just something in the testing phase, we did not have any DNALs that low. So this bug within Excel, if you will, did not show up to me in the development phase. So I have to apologize for anybody having these really hazardous substances with the extremely low DNALs.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, in pure theory, yes, if you have a risk characterization ratio above 1, then as a manufacturer, importer, or supplier, in theory, you must not recommend and say to your supply chain, you cannot use this substance for this use under those conditions. Then either you go for higher risk management measures, or you change your operational conditions, or you make some other studies to refine your hazardous assessment. But in theory, if you go to risk characterization ratio under 1, then above 1, sorry, then this means that your iteration and your work for the CSR generation is not finished. Otherwise, just stop and you say this is not for this kind of use under those conditions. This is for the other cases.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. May I have a question to you, Alan, as well? Our industry have active screening programs, so we have hundreds and thousands of new molecules which might become later active ingredients in hand, and we are faced to do the classification and labeling notification by end of this year, and we have no volume limits downwards. That means for the first 2 milligrams we have to do these notifications when there's a labeling, when we bring it into the market, and when there's manufacturing and import. So is there a chance to get a volume limit, let's say 10 kilograms or 20 kilograms for such circumstances by end of the year?
Thank you for the question. Purely legally speaking, I would say, I'm sorry, but the CLP regulation does not give any threshold. So purely legally speaking, I would say no way. Of course, after the legal text is quoted, then there is the implementation. And there, I think the CNL notification, I'm sure, is under the director's contact group discussions. And in fact, I think that having absolutely no level is not manageable at all, and trying to track any milligram is not possible. As far as I'm concerned, but this is not, let's say, CEFIC voice, I would say that indeed, I guess and I hope that some responsible behavior would be requested under this directors contact group for, let's say, a kind of weight, or not weight, but tonnage level to be, let's say, implemented legal interpretation of the text to be manageable. That's the only way I can see it.
Yeah, this might help. Yeah, there's a question over there.
Dr. Grebe-Köhler from Biocrop Science. It's not a question, it's more a comment. It's not only that the threshold, the non-existing threshold is not workable, it's also a question of intellectual property, because REACH and the REACH legislation grants certain confidentiality claims. And CLL also it has no confidentiality respects towards REACH. So as soon as you are to notify a CLL, everything which you claimed confidential under REACH is non-existing any longer. And that's the major problem which needs to be addressed by the Directors Contact Group.
Yes. Yes, you are absolutely right. The patent situation might become tricky when you have the publication of a name of such a substance. There's another one over there.
Another quick question for Volker. As you know, the EFSA PPR opinion, they have a new guidance now coming as to how to do operator, worker, as well as resident risk analysis. I'm not sure about the implementation of that new guidance, when it's going to be implemented. We are hearing end of this year, maybe next year. Do you see that new guidance documents having any impact on how we conduct risk assessments under ECHA in the future? Because they're tier 1, it is only for tier 1 assessment that they are coming up with this guidance document. They do have different models, different first year exposure estimates in there. Also, there's a proposal for acute AAOELs in there, as well as, like I said, looking at also residents, people who live around farms, to do risk assessment. So here you're considering a additional population. Will that have any impact on the way we are proceeding under REACH and ECHA?
Well, the answer is pretty much the same as earlier when it comes to the CSR format. Trying to stay abreast with the authorities is just something you cannot achieve. At some point, you will just have to resort to whatever you have and which has found acceptance for decades. So if you look at the Annex 1 of the 99414, it has been populated based, to a large extent, based on the outcome of German model estimations. I know that authorities, if something works well, they say like, okay, let's make up something new that industry is certain to fail on. And this is, I think the guidance document, it's humongous. It's I don't know how many 100 pages it has. And it really has a conflict with what we are aiming at here, to get something simple, acceptable, handy, that will find widespread use also among the suppliers. If we try to, and we were looking at other established crop protection models as well, UK POEM, for instance, and it turns out that it just requires 1 or 2 additional parameters to run the assessment, and that alone makes it hard to get, with a minimum communication between suppliers and DUs, to get valid exposure estimates. When it comes to, we thought when we developed this one here, we thought about should we at all cover bystanders? Because do you have ever a situation where the bystander is not safe, but the operator is? I don't think so. So there should be, and also the same thing is in the biocide arena. Do you ever have a wood preservative that can be applied safely, but then you cannot live with it?
Volker, that's all interesting.
and
you are correct.
It comes up over and over again. So at some point we said like there are certain scenarios. As soon as you have your operator safe, it adheres the assumption that everybody else is safe as well. Even that does not satisfy the current developments or what's coming up in crop protection guidance documents for the next months or years. I don't know.
I think it's worthwhile to have this discussion at lunchtime. Where
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So the buffet is served. Please be back 1:35.